Welcome to the American Cafe. This week we'll introduce you to a noted scientist who is looking for wildlife in the concrete jungles of America's cities. We'll take a look at how much cigarette smuggling costs the United States every year. Erica Celeste tells us about disc golf. We'll head to the ballpark with Mary Sainer, and we'll visit the Gray Fox Bluegrass Festival. All that this week on American Cafe. She was once a cheerleader for the Miami Dolphins NFL team, but her career has taken a much different path. She now has a PhD specializing in studying primates and other animals. Dr. Maria Mayer has now teamed with the National Geographic Society to study exotic wildlife in an unlikely place, America's cities. Beginning next week on Nat Geo Wild Channel, Wild Nights with Maria Mayer explores exotic creatures in the urban jungle. One of her first stops was the Big Easy, New Orleans, Louisiana, where she ran into wild hogs that can damage the city and hurt its citizens.
They're very destructive, and they're not supposed to be in New Orleans. They're an invasive species, so they were brought into New Orleans, and now they're running rampant and destroying not only, people's nicely manicured yards and that sort of thing, but they're destroying the local wildlife. Because they're huge eaters, and they'll eat a lot of the native species.
Maria Mayer also encountered another invasive species, the nutria, which looks kind of like a giant rat. She told me that the nutria infestation has seriously damaged the vital levees system in New Orleans.
And what they do is they burrow, they hang out in the canals, and they burrow in such a way that it really tears up the levees, the streets. It's quite an expensive creature to keep in the city.
New Orleans isn't the only city facing these unique challenges. Miami, Florida, and its surrounding suburbs also have to deal with some creatures that started out as pets, but now have become pests, like pythons.
When you introduce a predator into an area, then you better believe it's going to have an impact on the prey, and that's what's happening. Not just in Miami, but in so many cities nationwide. So I'm a big proponent of, if you're going to take on a pet, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, because these animals do grow and they get quite unmanageable.
Maria Mayer told me she is a conservationist and just visited New Orleans a few weeks ago since the Deepwater Horizon drilling well exploded and sank. She said the sad thing is that nobody knows for sure how much damage has been done.
It was a little bit difficult switching from transliterating to interpreting in the beginning. I really wanted to just start transliterating because that's what I had just done, even though I told myself interpret. And I didn't practice interpreting before I did this because you wanted me to switch from one to the other. So I just immediately finished talking to you about my transliteration, and this is my interpreting video. And didn't feel as confident with this one as I did with the transliteration. I think as I got into it, the interpretation started to come, but I was so much of my brain power was taken up by telling me that I needed to interpret that I was dropping a lot of concepts or a lot of expansions that I could have been making. I didn't role shift between the man and the woman, just because I kept missing what the woman's name was. I knew she was a scientist, but I couldn't hear what her name was, and so I just pushed forward. And then later on I heard it was Maria, and so I tried to go along with that, but it was already 3 minutes into the video. So my setup was not good, and I'm not going to do another video because the purpose was to be able to showcase my brain switching from one language into another language, which was hard. It probably was also hard because I have not been practicing daily since our summer break started, so I haven't exactly been using my brain to the best of its ability. So that's probably another reason that I had a hard time switching. But that's my videos.